This is a class about involution and dimensions. So it covers evolution and involution. And it's a completely different kind of evolution than people usually think of when they think about being a dinosaur and then, then being a cat and so on. And humans being a descendant from apes and all that stuff. This is not about that. This is a different kind of evolution. And it was created, Greg, look over here at me. It was created, Franny, look over here at me. Meher Baba said something that was very important. Now, most of the things, by the way, that Meher Baba says are, like when he taught, he used to say when he talked, he was telling people things that he felt like they would understand. So, for example, he said that consciousness starts out, it doesn't attain human form for eons. And that we actually start out as a gas and then we become a stone and so on. That was the way he talked about it. And he said that he was talking about it that way because he felt like we would be able to understand what he was saying. And so when we talk about it, what we talk about is the dimensions. And if you take the pre-zero dimension, like before you're a particle, you could say, well, that's a gas, And then when you become, go on to the zero dimension, and you're a particle, that's like being a stone. Does everybody understand this?
Yeah.
But really, there's nothing to understand here because it's just a metaphor.
Yeah, it's just some way to comprehend it for our little brains.
The only reason that we're talking about this is because it will help us cure things.
Mm-hmm.
So, and a lot of the things that we need to cure are spiritual diseases. They're not physical. And they cause us to incarnate badly and make bad choices, and they keep us, like the Buddhists talk about being on the wheel of birth and death, and they keep us prisoners on the wheel of birth and death. Is this, everybody getting something out of this?
Yes.
Okay. Trying to make this very practical. Meher Baba also said spirituality should be practical. So anyway, most of the things that Meher Baba talked about were like that. They were metaphoric, but there was something very important that he said that you can really do something with. He said that when you evolve to human form, at that point evolution stops. And that is something that you should take literally. He wasn't like speaking like in a way that would enable people to understand it. This is like the literal truth. When you change to human form, consciousness is fully developed, was the way he put it, I believe. And then he said at that point, you tend to involve instead of evolving.
Oh.
So you stop evolving and start involving. Okay, does anybody have any idea what involution is?
Involution, you are going back instead of going forward.
It's expanding inward in your development with what you have. So you're getting more involved with each other, involved with humanity.
Okay, no, I didn't understand at all.
I don't know. That's.
Well, I would just say that Bob always talks about how conscious a being becomes. And I suppose involution is the road to being conscious.
Well, you know something, though, Ross? You actually hit the nail on the head in a way. When you said you go backwards all the way back.
Yeah?
Because the dimensions are reciprocal.
Yes.
And you know how people always talk about returning to Godhead?
Oh, yes.
Well, that's what happens.
Okay.
So
yes.
what's happening is you get to the third dimension, and then you start going up to these higher dimensions, and the higher dimensions are reciprocal with the lower dimensions.
Yeah?
Until finally the highest dimensions are reciprocal with the very lowest dimensions.
Yes.
And when you leave the 144th and merge with God, you're back where you started before you ever entered illusion, which this is what this is. It's the whole thing
You're
is Maya.
home.
Yeah, you're home.
It's going home.
So
I catch myself very often and tell myself, I want to go home.
maybe one reason that you've continued doing this stuff with me all this time is that you feel as though you're going home.
I think so. Because I've done many things in my life before doing immunics, and I've never felt what I'm feeling doing this. It's sort of, how can I say, it's my thing. It's my route, my personal path.
So, I want everybody to test what dimension you're usually on, like Greg, Franny, and Ross. Just, what's my usual dimension?
I got 75.
I'm getting 90.
Still testing. Between 60 and, I get between 60 and 70. Do I have to be more accurate?
No, I got 8th.
Oh my God.
Okay?
But you know what? I think that God was yanking my chain there for a minute.
Yeah.
But did you get 8 for me or for
No,
yourself?
for me, Ross, for me. But I think God was just kidding me. You know what I think is that maybe it doesn't really pay to test your usual dimension. Because we're all over the place.
Yeah.
See, most people aren't like us. Like they're sort of rooted like in a dimension like the 5th or 6th or 4th or whatever. But once you do this, what we're doing, you break free. And then away you go to these dimensions. And this is involution. Like Tess, when somebody cures, let's say, oh, yesterday you were working with Alejandra and she cured some menopausal symptoms, right?
This morning, yes.
Now, Tess, did her dimension change when she did that?
Excuse me, did she?
Say
Can you
that.
say that?
Did her dimension change when she did that?
Yes.
Whenever people access God, well, Tess, when somebody accesses God, does their dimension always go up?
No.
For that moment, okay. So Franny says no. What does Greg say?
I'm going yes, I guess.
Me too.
I don't know.
When Franny accesses God, does her dimension ever drop? When Greg accesses God, does his dimension ever drop? When I access God, does my dimension ever drop? I get yes for me too. So, your dimension doesn't always go up when you drop. And see, I'm going to test another question. Is this because in order to see what I need to see, I need to be on a dimension that's lower than the one I was on? So sometimes you can't see certain things unless your dimension drops.
Well, isn't that God seeing? Okay, yeah. Right, you're seeing things. Yeah.
Most people do not want their consciousness to evolve actively or even believe that it's possible.
Are they the people that usually refuse to cure?
No, a lot of times people want a cure, but they just can't because they don't want the involution.
Okay.
Well, if you think about Michael is very committed to judging and blaming people. And then he sometimes wakes up and he says, oh, I was judging and blaming people. I don't want to do that. And he stops. And then he opens himself up and he starts involving. And then he goes on about his business and lives his life. Like Greg you're always talking about people living their lives, you know. And the problem with somebody living their life is that they're a sitting duck when they live their life. If somebody's just doing something that they think will make them happy, you know, they're a sitting duck. And so something comes along and hurts Michael's feelings or whatever, and he goes back into this adaptive behavior of judging and blaming people. Because he feels like that gets him through very painful episodes of his life. Like he's trying to, you know, it's like what Tony Robbins talks about, like people try to avoid pain and get pleasure, right?
Uh-huh.
I've been guilty of that. Well, you know, sometimes I realize after a while that everything seems not real. Like, you look at all these dramas and I get tired of watching them because they're, you know, it's just all these people involved with this stuff, you know, it's just like, it's not that interesting. Like, people...
Need people's lives. You mean things on television? That's
Yeah,
obviously.
People get
Made up
involved
stuff.
with that, and they
Oh, yeah.
feel something, or they are attracted to that drama. But I find it really irritating after a while, and that happened to me when the first time. Well, it probably happened before that, but the first time I really realized something like that was when Ars Garcia did that whole thing with me with nutrition, and I kind of really got very energetic, and all those things seemed very boring to me. Like they just, it wasn't real. It was just all kinds of, people suffering and everything else, and I do see people suffer. Like that kind of bothers me. I keep thinking about how Baba always, felt people were suffering. People suffer. They love to suffer. Ooh.
Let's everybody test, do people love to suffer?
I get yes.
I get no.
I get no. I get it's a switched condition, which a lot of people are in. They continue to do it.
What do you get, Ross?
Maybe they don't know they're suffering.
What do you get, Ross?
Yes.
Maybe they don't know they're suffering.
Yeah, I think so.
Because we were talking about how people leave their cups and junk and garbage in the movie theater, behind. And obviously there's something.
Yeah.
They're suffering, so they can't be bothered with that. So they just leave it.
So that they don't suffer. They don't want to suffer because they don't like suffering.
It's an escape from suffering.
It's escape from suffering, yeah.
Just to let it be someone else's problem,
It's the age-old thing of just be here and experience what's here, and if it's suffering, you try to escape it, it makes it into a real thing, as opposed to this is just life and you experience what it is.
I think many people try to not suffer in a dysfunctional way.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So they suffer even more.
That's right.
Tess, do people suffer because that it causes things to be real for them?
Yes.
People
Yeah.
suffer to make things real that aren't real.
Right.
Right.
And the reason they want to do that is they have various reasons for that. But see, nothing is real. That's the reality. There isn't anything that's real.
That's right.
And so the only things then that are real are the things that you make real. They're real because you make them real. Like, when somebody cures a flu, the flu couldn't have been real because flu is real and real things don't disappear, right?
Right.
Yes.
So it's like, if you tell somebody that you cured the flu, they just decide that, well, maybe it wasn't a real flu, or maybe it didn't take hold, or maybe it was, they don't actually get what it was like to be you in the middle of this whole plethora of flu symptoms, and you just caused them to disappear. And then you felt completely, well and different.
Well, I remember when I first met you, bro, it was kind of an odd experience, but I remember you used to tell me, things about myself, and I started thinking, well, gee, are these real? And then you told me you loved me, and that didn't seem real either.
Yeah.
It was very weird.
Bunch of weird stuff here. That's always been there when someone, it's always been with me, like, if I say I love you, I can say, well, yeah, I do and I don't. I do just what I do, so it's not like, it's just there.
Well, we do.
But I'm not fighting the reality that I make. I'm just acknowledging it. I'm making this a reality.
Yeah, but we try and prove it to ourselves.
Yeah, but I think this is where I progressed, where I used to I had disproof all the time. I was trying to prove it, and I always had disproof about everything. No, it's not
That's
necessary.
another side I never had thought about, actually. Kind of interesting.
Well, you know, when Michael judges people negatively,
Yes.
he's doing that so that they will respond to his negative judgments by changing and not being the way he doesn't want them to be.
Yeah.
It's just a switched way of doing something that's essentially constructive.
Yeah.
Right.
It also draws them out so they do the work and then he can react to it.
Well, I remember treating things like, if I want something to happen, I used to start a big fire, you know, like an argument or something, and to get my result, because I didn't really know how to just ask for it or
Just go after
go
it.
after it.
Talk to people directly.
It's like powerless, and the only way I could get the result was to make a big, big stink about it.
I think a lot of people used to work for you. They didn't have any other tool. They just weren't involved enough.
Well, see, that's another part of this class. Like, Ross, go to a dimension. Like, pick a dimension and go to a dimension and tell us what dimension you're on.
Okay.
So tell us when you're there and what dimension it is.
Okay, I am on the 27th dimension.
Okay.
And what I felt while I was going there was an opening here in my chest.
All right, now just say something about life or people or God, or just talk. You know, it's just let's talk. Let's hear what you have to say from the 27th dimension. Be on the 27th dimension and talk.
I want to perceive God and to be one with Him or her and live manifesting the goddess in myself and give this to every person around me. And I want all the people, all the animals and nature to be in balance and acting from unconditional love. And I want the people to take care of the animals and of nature. And I want the world to live in a world full of love, where God is present in ourselves. And we can all manifest God.
Okay, stop. Now, I want you to notice what Ross did. Like when you started talking, you were basically just saying the things that you usually feel, like you want to be one with God and so on, right?
Yes.
That's sort of like, you're like that on a lot of dimensions. But then, what you started doing was organizing the world.
Yes.
Like you started saying, I want humans and nature to be in balance, and so on. So what happened was, you became like a king or a queen, you know, like giving the world order, like you wanted to order the world by royal decree of Ross. And that is the 27th dimension. The way to find out about a dimension is to go there. And when you're there, you can feel what it's like. Like I remember when I first went up through the dimensions and how I changed, you know, and I started like thinking from the dimension. the dimension that you're on will shape your thoughts. Like when you were on the 27th dimension, your thoughts shaped into the world that you want to create. Now, if you go to a higher dimension, let's say you go to the 44th dimension. Why don't you try that, Ross? Go to the 44th dimension and talk, and let's see what you say from there.
I'm checking myself on the 44th dimension now. Okay, I feel my an opening again in it's more in my solar plexus, and I sort of just perceive, and everything is calm, quiet. And I can get inside myself.
Okay. Now that the 44th dimension is at the end. It's at the very top level of a whole area of dimensions that starts when you go up right above the 27th, from right above the 27th, all the way up, and it's when you go to the 45th dimension, everything changes again. So it's I can't remember the exact. I had a term for it, but it's like there's a conversion that I don't remember the term, but there's a conversion that happens when you go above the 44th dimension. So at the 44th dimension, which by the way, the name of the 44th dimension, as I remember it, is the Son of God. I think the 43rd is the Mother of God. I can't remember now. Anyway, the so that is that, like when you were feeling what you were feeling, that's what the 44th dimension is like. And you notice you don't really care so much about the world anymore, or whether it's in balance, or people being kind to animals and all that matters a lot less, and you're just you're just being more.
Yeah, it's true.
Uh-huh. Okay. Now, dimensions are reciprocal. Okay, so here's what happens. You evolve through the 0 dimension, and then the 1st, 2nd, and finally the 3rd. And when you hit the 4th dimension, the 4th dimension has 12 levels, and it's reciprocal, I believe it's reciprocal with the 3rd. And then, no, actually, I think that the, let me try.
I have to find that sheet of paper where I wrote those down.
Well, I have it. I can't channel it again.
Okay.
When you, okay.
Never find that then.
Oh yeah, all the dimensions up to the 27th are reciprocal with the 3rd, I believe. And then when you get to the 28th dimension, it's reciprocal with the 2nd dimension.
Online we have.
And that goes all the way up to the 51st. Right?
Is it, let's say,
Online we have this, I don't know, maybe this is
till the 26 first, and then the
26 to the 56 is second dimension. 52nd, 91st.
You know what? The reason it's stated like that is because it stretches. Like some people, some certain souls spill over. So instead of the second dimension stopping at the 52nd, it'll like extend over into the the 53rd, 4th, or 5th. But by the time you're on the 56th dimension, you are then reciprocal with the first dimension for sure.
Yeah, right.
It's guaranteed. But but before that, you don't know. People are different. Like I've tested a lot of different people because this is what you test when you cure impairments and disabilities.
Right.
And the thing is, you notice, like, for whatever reason, Barb couldn't make it to this meeting, but she would just tweeted about impairments and disabilities this morning.
Right.
And curing them. Well, specifically, she was tweeting about impairments.
Right. But on those dimensions, we also, we outline somewhere, I haven't been able to find that sheet of paper, what you were, like, before you're human. I guess the third you're some kind of animal, and the second you're...
Second is animals. The second is every kind of...
Amoeba or something like that?
It starts with amoeba and ends with, like, things that are almost human, like whales.
Really?
Uh-huh. Or elephants.
That's the second?
That's the second dimension. It goes all the way from amoeba through. And the first dimension are viruses and proteins and so on.
The second dimension is all animals.
It's animals.
So my cat here is on the second dimension.
Your cat is probably fourth or fifth dimensional, actually, because by being near you, her dimension went up.
Okay.
So the third...
Are you happy?
The third could be animals too, then, Mom?
But she's still in a cat body.
But what about the third? Is that animals?
Yeah, in fact, humans are almost animals.
Yeah.
When you meet third-dimensional people, they seem like animals to you.
So on the zero, I always thought of myself as being like, an element, like gas or muck or...
On the zero, you're a particle.
A particle?
Yeah.
Is it on the zero that you are a neutron, a proton, an electron, or pre-zero?
On the zero.
Zero.
Yes, except you never change.
Hmm.
Okay, here's what happens. When you pass through the zero dimension, you have a lot of different experiences. You know the particle attributes?
Yeah?
Well, particles, meaning electrons, protons, neutrons, and so on, have those attributes. Particles make choices. Particles do a lot of things that we think of human beings doing. And that's because human beings are particles.
So if you're a proton, then you remain a proton for...
No.
Oh.
Okay, what happens is on the zero dimension, you actually keep flipping through. In other words, you evolve. You as you go through the zero dimension. Let's say you start the zero dimension on the 100. Let's start the zero on the 130. let's say you start on the 134th dimension. It's reciprocal with the 134th dimension, right?
Okay.
And as you're going up through the 0 dimension, you're laying in impairments and disabilities, and also you're laying in a particle nature on the dimensions from the 134th down all the way to the 92nd.
Okay.
So let's say now you're going up through the dimensions, okay? So you go to the 96th dimension. And on the 96th dimension, you're a proton, and you have, 20 million disabilities and 8 million impairments that got laid in on that reciprocal area.
Yeah.
See, it's an area. The dimensions are actually areas of evolution and involution, depending on, where you are in the process.
Areas or states of being.
Yeah, they're areas. Like, you have to remember that what this is about is curing things. Okay?
Okay.
So, for example, Ross, remember the other day you had a stomach flu?
Oh yes, I remember very well.
And I told you to use fenugreek seeds.
Yes.
And you had fenugreek powder in the house.
Yes.
But you didn't know you could use fenugreek powder. You thought you needed the seeds and you couldn't get to a store to get them. Right?
Yes.
So you didn't use the powder until you talked to me and I told you to go ahead and use the powder. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, I opened capsules.
Now, now that's pretty irrational behavior when you stop to think about it. You had the cure. I told you to use fenugreek, and you had fenugreek in the house, but you didn't use it because I said seeds.
Because I didn't, yes. And I didn't remember right at that moment that I had it.
Okay, test this question. Was that behavior based in an impairment or disability from the upper dimensions?
It was based on a disability.
Okay. Now, if you find the dimension, then you find the area. Get it?
Yes.
That's why it's an area.
Okay.
So find the dimension.
Okay. Around the 90th.
You have to find the exact dimension now.
Okay. Exactly the 90th.
All right. On the 90th dimension, what are you on the 90th dimension? Now that's reciprocal with the first dimension.
First.
And it'd be a very rudimentary kind of first dimensional entity.
Okay.
Let's say
Such as an amoeba.
no. Amoebas don't start till around the 56th. It'd be more like a short, like maybe a fragment of DNA or something, or RNA, or an RNA molecule, or.
Where are bacteria? Those are with the amoebas?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
So it was a piece of DNA.
All right.
I guess, yes, okay.
And
Oh, well, that would make perfect sense, because if you're a fragment, you wouldn't have the whole idea about pattern and seeds being the same thing.
Well, Tess, is it difficult? Is it difficult for me to hook onto certain things that I need to hook onto because they're not perfect, or I don't know they're there, or whatever?
Right.
Get yes immediately.
Okay, so that's a disability. On the on the dimension, on the 90th dimension where you are, there's actually nothing wrong with being that way.
Okay. Yes.
It's appropriate. It's appropriate to be that way for that level of development. But what happens is, when you go higher on the 0 dimension, you know, and on the first dimension, you start to become more complex creatures, more complex entities. You continue to behave as though you were that particular entity, and so that disables you.
And it's not appropriate anymore.
Right. That's right. And that's what disables you.
Did you lose Bayard?
No, I'm
just
here.
for a moment.
For a second.
Okay.
So, Tess, did I cure it?
Did I cure it? Immediate yes. Oh, thank you.
Now, we probably didn't get the exact, thing. But we probably got enough to cure it.
Yes. And when I'm going to watch the video, I'm going to get more and more and more, of course.
Well, you'd probably be better off curing another one.
Oh, yes. I will do that.
What you have to remember is just what you were saying, that you're going backwards. Like your consciousness evolves to a certain place, and then you go home, you go backwards. And
yes.
but except you're going through these higher and higher dimensions, except they're reciprocal with the lower dimensions. Because really there's no such thing as higher and lower. It's just all Maya.
Mm.
There is no higher or lower. It isn't actually closer to God to be 144th dimensional, even though it feels that way. You're always equally close to God. You just experience it differently. Your consciousness is different.
Oh, yes.
It changes. Your consciousness evolves and then involves.
Yeah.
And when your consciousness is evolving, your form evolves. So you go from, we'll see, that's another thing. Particles are, like an electron, right?
Okay.
Now a strand of RNA is made of electrons and other subatomic particles. And yet, you as a particular strand of RNA are only one. You're just still a particle, one. You're still you. Like you're Ross and not Bayard, right?
Yes, right.
Okay, so now there's something else we could test about here. I don't know if you've ever gotten to this thing, but everybody tests. Let's see. What you do is you test yourself you start with the number 18, and you go 18, and you go up by sixes, 18, 24, 30, and you see how high you go before your finger says that's where you are. 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, and so on.
You go by sixes? Okay.
Now, has anybody gone way up already? Like,
I got to 52
Where you are?
so far. Or 50.
This is like where you are living? General level?
no.
No, I'm sorry. Just where you blow.
What you're testing for is how many of you there are.
How many of you?
How many of them are?
See, that's the thing, is that
I get 54.
okay,
I get 76. 56,
okay.
82.
That means that there are 76 Frannies walking around on the earth, or maybe in discarnate states right now.
But in different dimensions.
They could be in any dimension. But in other words, this is alternate selves. See, there actually creation is this fluid, continuous thing. There really is no separation among anything. All the separation is an illusion, which is why you can be an electron, let's say, on the 24th dimension with a physical body that's made up of, countless electrons, the googolplex of electrons, but you're just this one electron, with this body.
So what happens when you're a nucleus?
Well, that's kind of interesting, because I once tested that you didn't evolve normally, but that God sort of spit you out.
Oh, God. That's what her parents said, too. Oh, my God.
And what happened was, like, you were on the, like when you were created, you never went through like the zero dimension and all that stuff. So you didn't have any particle nature above the 42nd dimension. That was one thing I tested about you. There are very few like you, but you're like a little piece of God.
Wow.
Yeah. Although, you may very well test that you have a particle nature and you can...
I don't.
No?
No. Except on the very high dimension, I became, let's see, like if I'm on the 144th one. No, I'm still a nucleus.
Yeah, you're always a nucleus.
Yeah.
I've always thought that without you, none of this would have ever been possible.
Right.
Well, you really needed somebody to interact with, to start creating,
Well, I remember
to listen to you,
I remember
basically.
making a decision when I was like 18 about being this kind of person. I mean, it was kind of odd. I remember consciously deciding that. I don't remember it before that, but when I was in college, I remember thinking that there must be some way to...
I think we make decisions. I've seen with younger people around, like Kate Marie.
There must be some way to what?
There must be a better way of doing things, or, like helping people, or, certainly is better helping people this way than trying to, give them food or something, which is good too. But I mean, that's what, one of the most complex books for me that Baba wrote was all about this issue of becoming the conscious, It's like, God, just to read the book is so complicated because, he says a lot of people don't even know there's anything such as consciousness.
When I was in the 8th grade, I started a club. I call it the Galaxy Club. And I did not go to find people. I knew I was manifesting the people who were right for it. And it was this higher consciousness thing. That just, people in the know were part of this club. And I started writing down, I probably have a piece of paper that talks about the Galaxy Club. And I just kind of mentioned it to some people, the people who I was closest to, and some people resonated with it, as we say, people say these days. So, I was part of this early on.
Well, that's why we found each other.
Yeah.
I feel like I found all of you because that's the way it's supposed to be.
I'm making Fenugreek Fennel.
I often wonder, I used to, when I was very young, when I was like 1 or something like that, I used to fill pieces of paper with little faces, like they were little circles with eyes and a mouth. And there were like, sometimes there were a lot of them drawn on the paper, and I often wonder if it was just me knowing all the people as a nucleus, my group.
Why don't you test it, Franny?
Oh, that's a good idea. Yes, it was almost like I couldn't see them, but I knew they were there, like extra people. Or extra beings. I don't know what they were, but I didn't draw people, I just drew faces, like one that, like all over the it's the same thing.
All your particles.
My particles.
Well, you've gone to great lengths to protect yourself, Bono.
She said, what do you mean? I had on mute.
Oh.
I want you to test, are some of my behaviors still trauma-based?
Some of my behavior is still trauma-based. No.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
No. Doesn't mean I sometimes make traumas for myself, but Rosa has been very good at helping me get rid of them. Oh, Greg went in the other room because he was choking on something or whatever.
But he's still alive, I can see him, so don't worry.
Okay.
Do I still have any active trauma from lifetimes within the last several thousand years?
I get yes.
Okay.
I get yes.
Do I? I get no from me.
Oh, good.
And I'm testing I'm happy and making the right choices.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like it sometimes to other people. But.
I'm just wondering if I've made this understandable, that well, the whole point of knowing this stuff is to identify impairments, disabilities, trauma, See, impairments and disabilities are what happened before trauma, and they are a lot worse.
Oh.
They're insidious. The ones that really sort of you sort of live in them all the time without recognizing them.
Well, see, the thing about you, Franny, is like, you know, you may be overweight and, you know, I mean, you certainly have, you know, your share of, you know, obvious dysfunctions, but you're basically a pretty happy and supportive person. And most of the time you just seem like you're, you know, like level-headed, in touch with reality, you know, focused on helping other people and not too worried about yourself. Oh
yes, she is that.
That's how you always seem to me. Is like you don't really ever seem that worried about yourself. Like your focus is, you know, like on wanting other people to do better.
Huh.
You seem to have a lot of extra energy and attention to put on people.
Right.
I mean, I bet it was a lot for you to take care of those 2 kids for a couple of weeks.
It wasn't as bad as you think, but I didn't have to do anything else, so, you know.
Good for you, Franny.
It was little bits, you know, here and there, and some of it was trying, but they were generally very good, but then I just didn't have to put my attention on anything, any work or anything like that. I could just kind of sit back and regroup my energy, and so it was very kind of easy to do that sort of thing because I'm not stressed about something else. But I think it's very stressful if you have to do that and everything else.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
The
yeah.
fact was that she did not have to manage her brother and sister-in-law because the kids are more reactive to the people they're around, even though they've got their own minds about them. They responded to her pretty well.
Yeah, I mean,
While brother and sister-in-law are certainly generating a lot of what the problem is.
so they were better when they came back, but it was funny. I mean, I know they love their mother and father, and they missed them some days. But you know, then they would say, "When are mom and dad gonna be back?" And they'd say, "Well, I'd say, oh, tomorrow." And they go, "No."
They're having,
Stay with us.
You.
Can't you live with us? And
they were having these halcyon days with Franny. You know?
having grandma around.
But they were very excited when their parents came, and
Sure.
we decorated, and you know, we cut out things, and we hung up banners, and it's always fun, you know. And they brought gifts and happiness, and I think they were more relaxed after their trip.
They needed a vacation.
Yeah, it was.
Everybody does.
Mies was a working vacation, but you know, it was a change of pace. And they actually walked the Great Wall of China.
Did they involve anymore? Had they?
I test you.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
We saw it happening from reports.
You know, the weatherman said it's going to be very cold on Thanksgiving. You know how cold it is? Now he's giving the numbers. 60 degrees it's going to be.
Oh my God!
That's very cold for here. Well,
It's like
so the way you clear an impairment, like we can look for one. Greg, all you have to do is it's very simple. All you have to do is test: are there any impairments affecting me now?
yeah, I mean,
And just
are the impairments.
and then you just locate a dimension. This is how you take
Yeah,
it out.
I've done this before. So yeah.
Just locate a dimension.
What's the difference between disability and impairment?
Okay, a disability was normal for that particular situation, that for that area it was normal. It's just taken into another area where it isn't normal. An impairment, on the other hand, was some. It was a kind of a reaction, and which turns into like using a reaction in other areas. So, Greg, did you find a dimension?
No, I wasn't testing. I was writing down. And the impairment that's affecting me now.
So give me a dimension.
I was like, I get yes. Let me just test the dimension.
Well, you got yes a few minutes ago, actually. You said yes.
I did not test that. I was agreeing with you. So maybe it was saying yes.
Oh, I see.
I believe. I was just believing anyway that I always have some impairment.
What's the dimension?
It's affecting me now. See, that's where I didn't get it. Something. So dimension. I could pick any dimension and find something. Seriously, I mean, everything I test is a.
So you're getting yes on everything.
Pretty much everything. I just pick a dimension and I go. I test.
Is Greg being Is Greg being interfered with?
I get no.
Ross, what'd you get?
I'm getting 59. I'm getting 59 as.
Okay, the 59th dimension. Okay, you would be an animal. So.
So think in terms of reaction. Let's see.
Animal. What kind of animal?
That's why you're so grumpy. You snarl.
What kind of animal are you? Like, what do you see, sense, or feel? Well, the 59th dimension would be a relatively evolved animal, like possibly a hawk or a cougar or something like something.
I think it's kind of like I would say something that snaps back. Yeah, like I don't know if I swoop down like a bird, but more like.
Is it a type of monkey?
A reptile or something, yeah, or something it's kind of okay and then very quick to react.
Snake?
Yeah, I don't get that I'm a snake or a reptile. I get more like a monkey, yeah. I think more a cat-like or something.
Wolf?
Maybe a wolf or like, yeah, some sort of wild.
Tiger, a lion.
Weasel. Like some
All
sort
right.
of.
Okay, so you're a weasel. Okay.
I don't get this.
No, not a weasel.
No, I don't get this a weasel. I think he's some kind of like a, wolf, sort of dog, wolf.
Yeah, observant, keen, and snaps back, but has good, like, loyalty and herd sensibility and individual characteristics. Family, pack. So I'll say a wolf.
Okay, so are you connected to a pack or a family?
Yes.
And
it's.
Do you sometimes kill some of the other family members?
Yeah.
What comes into your mind, if anything?
to me, killing them is trying to improve something. It's like it's trying to better myself or better them, and I don't recognize that I'm actually killing them.
Okay, so Tess, do I recognize that I'm killing them?
Well, sometimes it's not only killing, it's just kind of hurting them.
Tess, am I trying to alter them?
Yeah, I'm trying to alter them.
Okay, and I do it with by attacking them.
Yeah, to me it was not attacking. See, to me, I didn't recognize it as attack.
Okay.
Others get it as attack.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything else I need to know about this?
Is there anything else I need to know about this? No. There's no question.
I cured it?
I just get what it is.
Have I cured it?
Yeah. Franny, let me answer first. Then you can get it. Invariably, Franny answers, I get this. She pops up.
Just remember, I'm your nucleus.
If you're so nucleus, you should allow for your particles that are swarming around you to be themselves. Otherwise, you will not have particles around.
We are swarming.
That's pull into the black hole called Franny.
We are
If it's a black
swarming.
hole, they will all be sucked into you, and all energy will not exist.
Swarm.
No.
Well, this is good.
Yes, I test you.
All right. So this is how you do it. You find the area that it enables you to identify, or channel some general thing that, like, it's probably not exactly what it is, but you get close enough to it so you get some kind of an essence out of it, and then you cure it. So, like, once you get, like what you were just saying a minute ago, Greg, which is that you were sort of getting it, like you were getting the essence.
Oh, I really get the essence, and it's like you become one with it, and then you grok it.
And then that's how it cures.
To use that Heinlein term.
So so this is how you cure impairments and disabilities. And see, knowing all this stuff, doesn't really mean you know anything, because the whole thing might just be a metaphor.
Yeah.
Maybe there's no such thing as dimensions. It may just be a model of talking about.
I make a point of using all that stuff.
Yeah, it may, like what Meher Baba said about once being a gas and then being a stone. This may be just about as non-literal as that.
Yeah.
But it was put in a way that we can understand, I think. That's why it's useful.
Yeah, well, it does. The thing that you find, though, is it does help you identify this, like the essence of this thing, like the thing that would cause you to not remember that you had fenugreek seeds in the house when I'm writing to you a tweet and I'm telling you, fenugreek will cure your stomach flu in 15 minutes, and you've got fenugreek and you don't use it because you don't remember. Now, funny thing, when we were talking, you suddenly remembered it was there. Is that the first you remembered it, when we were talking?
Yes.
And why would that be, that talking to me suddenly caused you to remember you had it?
Probably talking to you meant to me being connected with you, and my knowingness improved.
Well, maybe when I tweeted to you to use fenugreek, you simply didn't feel connected enough to
it's possible.
to me or that, And so you couldn't actually use the instruction.
Yes. And let me tell you something more. I tested the fenugreek is also good for my bronchitis, my obstructive bronchitis.
Yes, it is.
Because
Because
it
the
gets
lung,
rid of the mucus.
the lung is reciprocal with the intestine.
Aha.
And your problem with obstructive bronchitis is in your intestine.
Oh.
And so the thing you want to do to cure it is you want to like keep sweeping out the intestine, like do like fasts on you know, grind up fresh coconut and raw carrots together.
Okay.
And put oil and lemon juice in them and maybe some raisins or something for flavor, and eat that for dinner.
Okay, I will.
You know, do like raw foods things, you know, like that.
Yeah.
And read books on raw foods and just get a juicer and juice vegetables.
I have a juicer.
So use vegetable juice, and just keep sweeping out your intestines.
I remember once a month ago when I had a croaky voice, and I was having a session with Franny, and she told me, go in the kitchen and use your juicer to make carrot juice, and your voice will be back to normal by the end of the session. And that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, Robbie couldn't believe it.
Franny has learned a few things from me, I'm happy to say, and she's passed them on to you. Well,
and I'm very happy to receive those things.
And I learned that from Arthur W. Snyder's Juice book, by the way. So thank you all for a great class, and
it was really, really great. Thank you, Bayard.
Sure, it's really good. You know, the whole idea of this is to cure things and to feel good.
Yes.
That's what we're trying to do. Like we're not metaphysicians, we're people.
Yeah. Yes.
And we want to feel good.
This is not an academic activity to just think about all this stuff. You actually
No, we couldn't
are
do
used
it.
and you have to be able to language it in some way.
We want to feel good and be happy.
Are you gonna call Paula back?
So thank you.
Let's complete the class. Thank you, everyone. And I'm on the 144th dimension right now. Are we all there?
Too.
All right. This is the Cure Drive Cult homepage. You can see we tally our cures. That's the tally there, 132,000. You report your cures here, right here. That's the link to report your cure. Okay, this is the movie that people start with generally. And there's a lot of people actually curing things on camera in this movie and demonstrating exactly how to do it. It's 4.5 hours. So you would be able to probably understand and know what these people are doing by watching this. We are a cult because we're all over the world. Maybe one person in a town, just one little guy who cures things in a whole town full of people who don't, whose spouse thinks she's crazy because she's curing things and he doesn't. She doesn't get sick and he's down with the flu for 5 days and he still thinks she's crazy. We've had spouses die. So this person is demonstrating curing herpes in this movie, the one you're watching right there. And it goes on like that. Now, these are the people here. You see this black area here? This is our Twitter feed. These are the people you want to talk to. And what you do, see, it says follow Pure Drive. And that's what you do. You click on that, and then you pick somebody. Anybody in here will be happy to help you. So you write to people that you see in here. And there's all these people all talking about what they're curing. So that's what you do. You pick somebody that, that seems like a kindred spirit, presumably, and you write to them. See that picture of the cat there? That's Rosella. She's one of the people whose spouse died. He was a very great guy. He just thought it was nuts. Never did it. Died of cancer. Not too long ago, about 2 months ago. So anyway, you just, you write to somebody and, tell them what you, are trying to do. People are always asking about negative medical tests. Here, let me show you. This is a voicemail message. You should probably, if you're interested in getting a negative medical test on, let's say, herpes. She got negative medical tests and both kinds of herpes. And she left me this message when she got her letter from the, hospital, I guess. She was in New Zealand. So her tests are free. Now, of course, there's an enormous website behind this homepage. I guess you're probably guessing, right? And if you see these movies, these are all people demonstrating curing various diseases. These people chose to contribute their cures to your effort to cure yourself. There are around, I guess, over 800 movies, and some of them are linked to this page. So if you click on any one of these pictures, it will go to a movie, and that movie will start playing. So join the cult. Your friends will be worried about you. You're in a cult, they'll be worried. You have the crazy idea that you can cure medically incurable diseases. They're going to be very concerned, especially if you're battling cancer. Your friends will be worried, and that's a good thing. You will cure things, and that is also a very good thing. You will begin curing things the moment you join, because that's how you join. You cure something. When you cure something, you're in the cult. If you want to get out of the cult, just stop curing things, and you won't be in the cult anymore. Easy to exit. Your easy exit strategy. And who knows? You may even cure the medically incurable disease that you came in here to cure. A lot of us did. That's me there in the movie holding forth on how to cure things. I'm on the cure team. That's what I did. I cured a medically incurable disease. Two of them, actually. So I cured 2 kinds of herpes. It was about 4 months after I started doing this that I actually discovered, I'm the person who discovered that you could cure physical diseases. July 1993, my 20th anniversary just passed. I haven't had an outbreak of herpes for 20 years, and before that I was having outbreaks for 28 years. I got herpes in 1965, at the end of the year. 28 years of outbreaks followed by 20 years of no outbreaks. That's how bad it can be and how good it can be, if you let it be good. So, take the courageous step that almost everyone you know will advise you not to take. Join the cult. When you're in the cult, your friends will get sick and you will get well. Your friends will give sympathy and you will give cure. And you'll know that you don't even need to take a vitamin pill to cure something. You can just cure it with nothing. Just with you. What can you contribute? What will your contribution be? This woman is curing a flu right on camera. She came in with full symptoms and they were all gone in 15 minutes. You can see it happen. Flu is an incurable viral-based disease. It's medically incurable. She cures it right in front of you. We eagerly await your contribution. And here they are, eagerly awaiting your contribution. And anything that you say to any of these people will probably be a contribution of some kind.